Welcome to a journey like no other. Today, we're diving into the iceberg of the most dangerous places on Earth. At the top of the iceberg are some spots you may have heard of, places that might seem thrilling, but hide their own deadly risks. And as we move deeper down this iceberg, we'll uncover places most people would never dare to set foot in. Places where danger isn't just a possibility, it's a certainty. Starting with the top, let's talk about Mount Everest. Mount Everest, towering at 8,848 meters, is the highest point on Earth. For adventurers, it's a symbol of ultimate achievement. But what many don't realize is that Everest is also known as the world's highest graveyard. Every year, despite the advances in climbing gear and technology, people die trying to reach its summit. As of today, over 300 people have lost their lives attempting the climb, and many of their bodies are still on the mountain, frozen in place, serving as grim markers along the trail. The dangers of Everest are numerous. First, the altitude itself presents a deadly challenge. The lack of oxygen at such high altitudes leads to what is known as altitude sickness, where climbers can suffer from headaches, nausea, hallucinations, and eventually, their bodies start to shut down. This is why many die from cerebral or pulmonary edema, where the brain or lungs fill with fluid. But the thin air isn't the only threat. Everest is prone to avalanches, crevasses, and extreme weather. Temperatures can plummet to minus 60 degrees Celsius, minus 76 degrees Fahrenheit, and storms can come out of nowhere, trapping climbers in conditions where survival becomes impossible. The route itself isn't easy. The Khumbu Icefall is one of the most treacherous parts of the climb. It's a constantly shifting glacier where huge blocks of ice can collapse without warning. Then there's the famous death zone above 8,000 meters, where the oxygen levels are so low that even standing still is exhausting. What makes Everest even more dangerous is its popularity. During peak climbing seasons, there are often traffic jams of climbers waiting to ascend or descend the summit. In these situations, the delay can be fatal. In May 2019, 11 climbers died in just 1 week because they were stuck in queues, running out of oxygen as they waited. Despite these risks, over 600 people attempt the climb every year. Some make it, some don't, and for every success story, there's a tragic tale of a climber who never made it back. So, while it may seem like a thrilling adventure, Mount Everest is, without a doubt, one of the most dangerous places on Earth. The Grand Canyon may look like a stunning natural wonder, but don't let its beauty fool you. Every year, around 12 people die while visiting this iconic location. The deaths aren't caused by what you'd expect, falling from the edge. While there have been fatalities from falls, the majority of deaths at the Grand Canyon are due to heat stroke and dehydration. During the summer months, temperatures inside the canyon can easily soar above 40 degrees Celsius. Many visitors underestimate the heat and the physical strain of hiking in such conditions. It's not uncommon for inexperienced hikers to run out of water or push themselves too hard. Once heat exhaustion sets in, it can quickly escalate to heat stroke, which is often fatal if not treated immediately. There are also other dangers in the Grand Canyon, from flash floods that can sweep away the unprepared to encounters with wildlife like rattlesnakes and mountain lions. But it's the desert heat that poses the greatest threat. Hikers are constantly reminded to bring plenty of water, yet every year, people fail to take these warnings seriously. The Grand Canyon, with its vast, unforgiving landscape, is both beautiful and deadly. It's a place where, without proper preparation, nature can quickly turn against you. The Danakil Depression, located in Ethiopia, is often referred to as the hottest place on Earth. In this hostile environment, daily temperatures can reach a scorching 50 degrees Celsius, 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and rainfall is almost non-existent. But it's not just the heat that makes the Danakil Depression dangerous. This region is also home to toxic gases, acid pools, and active volcanoes. The ground here is filled with sulfur and other minerals, creating a surreal, otherworldly landscape of vivid yellows, oranges, and greens. But these beautiful colors hide deadly dangers. The sulfur lakes release toxic gases that can be fatal if inhaled. Explorers who venture into the region must wear protective masks to avoid breathing in the fumes. Despite the extreme conditions, the area is still inhabited by the Afar people, who have learned to survive in one of the most inhospitable places on the planet. They mine salt from the earth and lead caravans of camels across the desert, but even they are not immune to the dangers of this landscape. The Danakil Depression is a place of extremes: extreme heat, extreme beauty, and extreme danger. Few people dare to visit, and those who do must be prepared for one of the harshest environments on Earth. Just off the coast of Brazil lies an island that no one is allowed to visit till Ilha Queimada Grande, also known as Snake Island. The reason? It's home to one of the deadliest snakes in the world, the golden lancehead viper. This species of snake is so venomous that one bite can kill a human within an hour. The island is literally crawling with snakes. It's estimated that there's one snake for every square meter of the island, making it one of the densest populations of venomous snakes in the world. The Brazilian government has banned people from visiting the island to protect both humans and the snakes, but some researchers are allowed for scientific purposes. The venom of the golden lancehead is so potent that it can melt human flesh. There are stories of fishermen who strayed too close to the island and never returned. Today, only the bravest scientists venture to Snake Island, and even they don't stay for long. Snake Island is a place where nature reigns supreme, and humans are simply not welcome. These are just the beginning, the tip of the iceberg. As we move further down, the places we'll explore become even more dangerous, even more forbidden, where the risks are almost guaranteed. Stay with us as we dive deeper into the most perilous locations on Earth. As we've seen, the dangers at the top of our iceberg places like Everest and Snake Island are enough to make anyone think twice about visiting. But as we descend deeper into the unknown, we uncover places that are far more treacherous, far more hidden from the eyes of the public. Welcome to Level 2. Here, we're not just talking about places where danger is possible. We're entering zones where danger is inevitable. Remote regions with little to no escape, where stepping foot is like signing your own death warrant. Let's go deeper into the iceberg and uncover the places that only a few dare to visit and even fewer survive. Our first stop in Level 2 takes us to one of the most dangerous stretches of jungle on the planet, the Darien Gap. This thick, untamed rainforest spans about 100 miles between Panama and Colombia, forming a natural break in the Pan-American Highway. It's a lawless, hostile region where even the most experienced travelers can quickly find themselves in life-threatening situations. This is no ordinary jungle. The Darien Gap is not only incredibly difficult to navigate, with no roads and few trails, but it's also home to dangerous wildlife like jaguars, venomous snakes, and swarms of disease-carrying mosquitoes. But the real danger here doesn't come from nature, it comes from humans. The Darien Gap is a hotspot for drug cartels, human traffickers, and armed guerrilla groups. In this lawless region, you're just as likely to encounter heavily armed criminals as you are wildlife. Kidnappings, robberies, and even murders are common here. For decades, the area has been a no-go zone for tourists, journalists, and anyone else who values their life. Even today, the Darien Gap is considered one of the most dangerous places on Earth to travel through. Those who attempt the crossing risk not only the dangers of the jungle, but also the very real threat of never being heard from again. It's a place where survival depends on a mixture of luck, skill, and knowing when to turn back. Next, we travel to the Indian Ocean, to one of the most isolated and dangerous places in the world, North Sentinel Island. This small island, part of the Andaman Islands, is home to the Sentinelese people, one of the last uncontacted tribes on Earth. The Indian government has declared the island off limits, not because of the island's natural dangers, but because of its people. The Sentinelese have made it clear for centuries they do not want contact with the outside world. Anyone who tries to set foot on their island is met with a hail of arrows. The tribe has violently repelled all attempts at contact, and several people who have dared to visit have been killed, including a missionary in 2018. The Indian government has enforced strict laws prohibiting anyone from approaching the island within 5 kilometers to protect both the tribe and outsiders. The Sentinelese are extremely vulnerable to diseases, having no immunity to common illnesses like the flu or measles. Contact with the outside world could wipe out the entire tribe. Despite its idyllic appearance, North Sentinel Island is one of the most dangerous places on Earth, not because of its geography, but because it's one of the last places where humanity's instinct to defend its territory has remained untouched by time. Our next destination is a place so harsh and unforgiving that it earned the nickname the Land of Death, Namibia's Skeleton Coast. This stretch of coastline along the Atlantic Ocean is a graveyard for ships, where dense fog, violent waves, and treacherous currents have doomed sailors for centuries. The Skeleton Coast is one of the most inhospitable places on the planet. It's not just the wrecks that make it deadly. The entire area is a vast desert, with scorching temperatures during the day and freezing cold at night. The coast is often shrouded in fog, making navigation nearly impossible, and there's little to no fresh water for miles. For those unfortunate enough to become stranded on the Skeleton Coast, survival is a slim possibility. The land is dotted with the remains of shipwrecked sailors and explorers who perished from thirst, starvation, or exposure. Even the local wildlife, like hyenas and jackals, has adapted to the harsh conditions, surviving on the skeletal remains left behind. Though it's possible to visit certain parts of the Skeleton Coast on guided tour, venturing too far on your own is a death sentence. This desert graveyard is a stark reminder of nature's power to reclaim anything that dares to challenge it. Deep in the Turkmenistan desert lies a place that looks like it came straight out of a nightmare, the Darvaza gas crater, better known as the Gates of Hell. This massive crater, which spans 70 meters across, has been burning continuously for over 50 years, and no one knows when it will stop. The crater was created in 1971 when a Soviet drilling operation accidentally hit a pocket of natural gas. To prevent the spread of toxic gas, the engineers decided to set it on fire, hoping it would burn off in a few days. Instead, it's been burning ever since. The intense heat and the toxic gases make it impossible to get too close, and the surrounding desert is an unforgiving environment on its own. While it has become a bizarre tourist attraction, visiting the Gates of Hell is not without risks. The extreme heat, the lack of infrastructure, and the sheer remoteness of the area mean that any misstep could be fatal. And while the flames may be mesmerizing from a distance, getting too close to this inferno is not something anyone should risk. The final stop in Level 2 takes us to one of the most infamous places on Earth, the Bermuda Triangle. This region of the North Atlantic Ocean, bounded by Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, has been the site of hundreds of mysterious disappearances of ships and planes over the past century. While there are plenty of rational explanations ranging from human error to rogue waves and magnetic anomalies, the Bermuda Triangle has gained a reputation as a place where things simply vanish. One of the most famous cases is the disappearance of Flight 19, a group of 5 U.S. Navy bombers that went missing in 1945 during a training exercise. Despite an extensive search, no trace of the planes or their crews was ever found. Some theories suggest that methane gas eruptions from the ocean floor could explain the sudden disappearances, while others point to supernatural forces or even alien abductions. But one thing remains certain: ships and planes continue to go missing in the Bermuda Triangle at an alarming rate, leaving behind only questions. The Bermuda Triangle remains one of the most enduring mysteries of modern times, a place where science and the unexplained collide. And while many ships and planes pass through without incident, there's always the chance that something or someone won't make it out the other side. We've already seen some of the most remote, hostile, and dangerous places on Earth. But as we descend deeper into this iceberg, the risks become even more unimaginable. Level 3 is where the truly terrifying begins. Locations so extreme, so isolated, that only the most daring souls would even think about venturing there. These are places where survival is not just uncertain, it's nearly impossible. We're now entering the world of unexplained disappearances, harsh natural phenomena, and death traps that seem to defy logic. These are the places that test the limits of human endurance, where even the bravest have met their end. Welcome to Level 3. Our first stop in Level 3 is the infamous Aokigahara Forest, also known as the Suicide Forest. Nestled at the base of Mount Fuji in Japan, Aokigahara is a serene yet deeply unsettling place with an eerie reputation. This forest has been a site for hundreds of suicides over the years, so much so that the Japanese government has placed signs throughout the area urging visitors to reconsider their actions. The dense foliage and volcanic rock create a labyrinth where it's easy to lose your way. It's said that compasses and GPS devices malfunction here, adding to the disorientation of those who enter. The stillness of the forest, broken only by the occasional creak of trees, creates an overwhelming sense of isolation. It's not just the suicides that make Aokigahara infamous, it's the strange energy that seems to permeate the forest. Some locals believe it to be haunted by the spirits of those who died there, and visitors often report feeling an eerie presence, as if the forest itself is watching them. For those brave or desperate enough to enter, Aokigahara is a reminder of the thin line between life and death. It's not a place you visit for adventure, it's a place you enter at your own peril, where the forest can swallow you whole. Beneath the bustling streets of Paris lies a vast, hidden world, the catacombs. Stretching for hundreds of miles, these underground ossuaries house the remains of over 6 million people, their bones meticulously stacked along the walls of the narrow tunnels. But the real danger lies beyond the tourist paths. Deep within the catacombs are miles of tunnels that have never been fully mapped. It's easy to get lost in this subterranean maze, and those who wander too far have been known to disappear. In the pitch-black darkness, with no landmarks or signs to guide you, it's all too easy to lose your sense of direction. There are countless stories of explorers who ventured too deep into the catacombs, never to return. Even today, the police occasionally find bodies in the more remote parts of the tunnels, victims of accidents, or, more chillingly, those who may have been lost for years. The catacombs aren't just a place for the curious, they're a labyrinth that can consume anyone who underestimates its dangers. Once you're down there, with miles of dark corridors stretching ahead, it's easy to see how the catacombs earned their reputation as the city of the dead. Our next destination brings us to one of the strangest and most hostile environments on Earth, Lake Natron in Tanzania. At first glance, this shallow, red-colored lake looks almost surreal, but looks can be deceiving. The waters of Lake Natron are deadly, and for the creatures that make the mistake of entering, it's the end. Lake Natron's alkaline waters have a pH level as high as 10.5, nearly as caustic as ammonia. The lake's chemical makeup is so extreme that it can burn the skin and eyes of animals that come into contact with it. Birds and bats that land in the water are often calcified by the sodium carbonate, leaving their bodies perfectly preserved, like statues frozen in time. This desolate, otherworldly place is a natural death trap, but it's also hauntingly beautiful in its own way. The lake's toxic waters create an environment that seems to defy nature itself. It's a place where life doesn't just end, it's frozen, as if time itself stands still. Mount Nyiragongo in the Democratic Republic of Congo is home to one of the world's largest and most active lava lakes. This towering volcano is known for its extremely fluid lava, which can flow at terrifying speeds, unlike most other volcanic eruptions. In 2002, Mount Nyiragongo erupted, sending rivers of lava pouring through the nearby city of Goma. The lava moved so fast, up to 60 kilometers per hour, that it destroyed entire neighborhoods, killing hundreds and leaving over 100,000 people homeless. It's not just the speed that makes Nyiragongo deadly, it's the fact that it sits on a tectonic hotbed, capable of erupting with little to no warning. For those living in the shadow of Mount Nyiragongo, the danger is a constant presence. The threat of another eruption looms large, and the unstable nature of the volcano means that it could explode again at any time, potentially with even more devastating consequences. We end level 3 with a mysterious and deadly stretch of ocean, the Devil's Sea, also known as the Dragon's Triangle. Located off the coast of Japan, this area of the Pacific Ocean has been the site of numerous disappearances of ships and planes, much like the Bermuda Triangle. In the 1950s, the Japanese government sent a research vessel, the Kaiyomaru no 5, to investigate the strange phenomena occurring in the area. The ship, along with its crew of over 30 scientists, disappeared without a trace. The Japanese government declared the area too dangerous for navigation, and it has since gained a reputation as one of the most perilous regions of the ocean. Some theories suggest that the Devil's Sea is affected by undersea volcanic activity, creating massive whirlpools and waves that can swallow ships whole. Others believe it to be a site of geomagnetic anomalies that can confuse navigation instruments, leading vessels off course. Whatever the cause, the Devil's Sea has earned its place as one of the most dangerous and mysterious stretches of ocean on the planet, a place where the ocean's depths seem to hold secrets that may never be fully understood. We've now ventured deep into the most dangerous places on Earth, but believe me, we've only scratched the surface. The places in level 4 aren't just dangerous, they're deadly, unpredictable, and often completely out of human control. These are places where survival isn't just a challenge, it's almost a miracle. As we descend further into the depths of this iceberg, we'll explore locations that defy explanation, where natural forces, strange phenomena, and even human darkness collide to create environments that few have ever escaped from unscathed. Welcome to Level 4, where every step, every breath could be your last. Our first new destination in Level 4 takes us to the Kavachi volcano in the Pacific Ocean. Located near the Solomon Islands, this submarine volcano is known not only for its violent eruptions, but also for its unusual resident sharks. That's right, sharks actually live inside this active, underwater volcano. The Kavachi volcano regularly erupts, sending plumes of ash and steam into the air and creating deadly underwater currents. Yet, despite the extreme heat and acidity, hammerhead and silky sharks have been observed swimming around the crater, adapting to one of the most inhospitable environments on Earth. Visiting this volatile region is almost impossible for the average person. Not only is the area unstable due to constant eruptions, but the presence of these apex predators adds a layer of danger that's unmatched. This is truly a place where nature's most powerful forces collide, creating an environment where survival is unlikely. Next, we head to Norilsk, Russia, one of the most polluted cities in the world. Located in Siberia, this industrial city is home to vast nickel mines and smelters that release tons of sulfur dioxide and other toxic chemicals into the air. The result? A city where acid rain falls regularly, snow turns black from pollution, and the life expectancy of workers is significantly shortened due to the harsh conditions. Norilsk is so remote that it's considered a closed city. Foreigners are not allowed to enter without special permission. The environmental damage is staggering. The surrounding land has been described as a dead zone where trees and wildlife can no longer survive. Those who live and work here face health risks from the severe pollution, along with the brutal Siberian cold that makes life here even more challenging. For the brave few who call Norilsk home, the combination of extreme isolation, pollution, and freezing temperatures creates an environment that's as dangerous to live in as any war zone. Norilsk is a place where nature and industry have come together to create one of the most toxic environments on Earth. We now travel to the coldest inhabited place on Earth, Oymyakon, a remote village in the heart of Siberia, Russia. In this isolated part of the world, temperatures regularly plummet to minus 50 degrees Celsius to minus 60 degrees Celsius, minus 58 degrees Fahrenheit to -76 degrees Fahrenheit during the winter months. In 1933, Oymyakon recorded the coldest temperature outside of Antarctica at -67.7 degrees Celsius, -89.9 degrees Fahrenheit. Living in such extreme cold presents challenges most of us can't even imagine. Eyelashes freeze, cars need to run 24/7 to avoid the engine freezing, and flesh can freeze in minutes if exposed. Yet, somehow, a small population manages to survive here, relying on traditional methods to get through the brutal winter months. The isolation, lack of sunlight, and extreme temperatures make Oymyakon one of the most dangerous and extreme places to live. Only the hardiest souls can endure the long, dark winters in this frozen corner of the world. Next, we journey to Tristan da Cunha, the world's most remote inhabited island. Located in the middle of the South Atlantic Ocean, this volcanic island is nearly 2,400 kilometers, 1,500 miles away from the nearest landmass, South Africa. Getting here isn't easy. The only way to reach Tristan da Cunha is by a 7-day boat trip from Cape Town, and that's only when the weather cooperates. With just over 250 residents, the island is home to a tight-knit community. The remoteness, however, presents its own dangers. Medical emergencies, natural disasters, or even basic supplies all depend on the weather, which can cut off the island for weeks at a time. The active volcano that looms over the island is another constant threat. The last major eruption in 1961 forced the entire population to evacuate. Living in such isolation means that self-sufficiency is key. The island may seem peaceful at first glance, but its remoteness and unpredictable weather make it one of the most dangerous places to live. If something goes wrong here, help is not just hours away, it's days or weeks. Our next stop is the boiling lake in Dominica, one of the most dangerous and extreme natural wonders in the world. This lake, located in the Mont Trois Pitons National Park, is filled with boiling water due to the volcanic activity beneath its surface. The lake's temperature can reach up to 90 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius, 194 degrees Fahrenheit to 212 degrees Fahrenheit, making it impossible for any life to survive in its waters. The boiling lake is not just a deadly cauldron of water, it's also extremely unpredictable. Gases from deep within the earth occasionally cause the water level to drop, exposing the hot, bubbling mud beneath. At times, the lake seems to breathe, with waves of steam and boiling water crashing against the rocky shores. Visitors to the boiling lake must navigate dangerous trails through volcanic terrain, where the air is thick with sulfur and the ground is unstable. It's a stunning natural wonder, but one wrong step could mean falling into the boiling depths. As we descend further into our iceberg of the world's most dangerous places, we're now entering level 5, where the risks are no longer just environmental or geographical. In this final level, we venture into regions that test not only physical survival, but the limits of human endurance, sanity, and morality. These are places where the line between life and death is razor thin, and where the challenges go far beyond the natural world. Brace yourself, we're about to explore the darkest, most perilous corners of the earth, places that defy logic and reason. Survival here isn't just unlikely, it's almost impossible. Next, we journey to Bikini Atoll in the Marshall Islands. Though it may look like a tropical paradise, Bikini Atoll is far from it. Between 1946 and 1958, the United States conducted 23 nuclear tests here, including the detonation of the first hydrogen bomb. The explosions left the atoll contaminated with high levels of radiation, rendering it uninhabitable. Today, the radiation levels remain dangerously high, and while some marine life has returned, the area is still hazardous for human beings. The former residents were relocated, and the atoll remains a radioactive ghost town, with entire islands abandoned. Bikini Atoll serves as a reminder of the destructive power of nuclear weapons, and although it looks like an idyllic retreat, it's a deadly place to visit due to the lingering radioactive fallout. It's one of the most toxic locations on Earth, and anyone who ventures here is putting their life at serious risk. Our second destination is Mount Washington in New Hampshire, USA, infamous for having some of the world's most dangerous weather. The mountain holds the record for the highest wind speed ever recorded on Earth at 231 miles per hour, 372 kilometers per hour, and it frequently experiences hurricane-force winds, extreme cold, and whiteout blizzards. Despite its relatively modest height, the unpredictable and violent weather on Mount Washington makes it one of the deadliest mountains in the world. Many experienced hikers have lost their lives trying to reach the summit, caught off guard by the sudden and brutal storms that can strike without warning. The mountain's weather can turn a pleasant hike into a fight for survival in a matter of minutes. Mount Washington proves that sometimes the most dangerous places aren't the tallest or most remote. They're the ones where nature's fury is at its most extreme. Next, we travel to Svalbard, a remote Arctic archipelago belonging to Norway. Home to the Svalbard Global Seed Vault, also known as the Doomsday Vault. Built to store seeds from around the world in case of global catastrophe, the vault is located deep inside a frozen mountain. While the idea of a Doomsday Vault might sound intriguing, the reality of reaching this location is perilous. Svalbard's remote location and extreme climate make it one of the most inhospitable places on Earth, with temperatures often plummeting to minus 30 degrees Celsius, minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit, and the risk of encountering polar bears. Surviving in Svalbard requires immense preparation. The vault itself is safe from most disasters, but getting to it and surviving in the surrounding wilderness is no easy feat. Even in summer, the terrain is treacherous with shifting ice, freezing winds, and limited daylight. Svalbard is a place designed to preserve the future of humanity, but it's also one of the harshest environments on Earth. Our fourth stop in Level 5 takes us to Poveglia Island in Italy, one of the most haunted and dangerous places on Earth. Located in the Venetian Lagoon, Poveglia has a dark history as a plague quarantine station in the 18th century. Thousands of plague victims were sent here to die, and later, in the 20th century, the island became a mental asylum. Rumors of ghosts and strange occurrences have made Poveglia infamous. Locals refuse to visit the island, believing it to be cursed. The island's atmosphere is said to be so oppressive that even experienced paranormal investigators find it overwhelming. Though Poveglia is technically abandoned, it remains one of the most dangerous places to visit, not just because of its ghostly reputation, but because of the hazardous, decaying structures and the air of unease that hangs over it like a curse. Our last addition to Level 5 is Lake Karachay, located in southern Russia. This lake has become notorious as one of the most radioactive places on Earth. During the Cold War, it was used as a disposal site for radioactive waste, making its waters extremely dangerous. The levels of radiation around Lake Karachay are so high that standing near its shores for just a few minutes can be fatal. In the 1950s and 1960s, the Soviet Union dumped radioactive materials directly into the lake, contaminating both the water and the surrounding land. The lake's radiation levels have been known to cause severe health effects, including cancer and radiation sickness. Today, Lake Karachay is a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked nuclear waste disposal. Despite its beautiful appearance from a distance, the lake is a deadly environment that poses a severe risk to anyone who ventures too close. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the world's most treacherous corners. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this, and let me know in the comments if there's a place you never dared to visit.